When I was a kid, I didn't ask for much. I knew when to be quiet and didn't shout when things felt unfair. Being the oldest meant I had to do more and got less attention. My parents weren't mean, but they had favorites. And their favorite wasn't me. It was my little sister, Leia. Leia could do nothing wrong. If she failed a math test, they said she was creative, not good with numbers. When I won a science contest at school, they said it was nice but not a big deal. After a while, I stopped hoping for praise or trying to make them proud, but it still hurt inside. My birthdays were always quiet. No big parties or surprises. Sometimes just a cake and maybe a happy birthday at dinner if they remembered. Some years, they didn't even say that. But this year, I was turning 26. Nothing special, no milestone, but I had a small hope. Maybe this year they'd call. Maybe they'd post something. Maybe they'd acknowledge I was still their daughter. But the day passed, hour by hour, and nothing came. No call, no message, no happy birthday voicemail, just radio silence. I sat on my bed for a long time staring at the empty screen of my phone. I even turned the volume up in case I had missed a vibration. I hadn't. Trying not to feel like I was sinking, I opened Instagram to distract myself. Scrolling through meaningless selfies and vacation posts, I stopped cold when I saw my mother's post. It was a carousel of pictures. The first image hit like a slap across the face, a pink and white frosted cake with the words, "Happy 5th birthday, Muffin," in sparkly frosting. The next picture, my dad holding Muffin the cat like she was a newborn baby. The next, Leia laughing as Muffin opened presents, literal wrapped gifts on the floor, surrounded by streamers and balloons shaped like tiny mice. The house was filled with decorations, smiling faces, a balloon arch, and even a woman dressed in a cat costume doing entertainment for the guests. My heart stopped. Muffin, my sister's spoiled Persian cat, had just had a full-blown surprise birthday party with our entire family there, with matching cat-themed cupcakes, a custom-made photo booth, my parents hosting it like it was the social event of the year, and me, their actual child? Nothing, not even a text. I blinked at the screen, scrolling back and forth. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe my sister posted it just to annoy me. But no, there was my mom in the comments replying to people saying things like, "She's our princess and we just had to celebrate our Muffin properly this year. She brings us so much joy." I stared at that comment. She brings us so much joy. I used to bring them joy, didn't I? There was a time when I was the one who brought home straight A's. When I played the violin and they sat proudly at every recital. When I made birthday cards for them with glitter and glue. I thought I mattered once. I really did. I dropped my phone. I felt a strange hollowness in my chest. Not quite anger. Not even sadness. Just emptiness. Like something had finally torn all the way through. Like this invisible thread I'd been clinging to, hoping maybe one day things would change, had finally snapped. I didn't cry. I didn't call them and scream. I just sat in the silence of my apartment, lit only by the dull glow of my birthday candles. Because yes, I'd bought myself a tiny cake just in case, one candle barely flickering. I hadn't even sung to myself. That would have been too pathetic, right? But as I sat there staring at that ridiculous Instagram post again, something in me shifted. You can only ignore someone for so long before they stop playing along. You can only push someone away for so many years before they decide not to come back. So no, I wasn't going to text them. I wasn't going to ask why they forgot. I wasn't going to demand love like some desperate child. I was done begging for a seat at their table when they kept reserving it for a cat. But I would respond, not with tears, but with a gift, a message so clear they'd never forget it. And just like they threw Muffin a surprise she never saw coming, I was about to deliver one of my own. After writing that letter and sending the gift, I expected silence or maybe a storm. But the truth, what followed, was stranger, an echoing void. Days passed, then weeks, not a single word from either of my parents. No missed calls, no messages laced with guilt, no dramatic responses, just absence. And somehow that silence was louder than any shouting match. But this time, I didn't chase it. Instead, I watched from a distance. I saw their social media posts shift. They went quiet for a while. No glamorous brunch photos, no silly cat cake reels. Leia posted a vague tweet about people who can't handle other people's joy, clearly aimed at me. I didn't engage. I wasn't in the business of performing grief or starting digital wars. My message had been sent and it had landed. Still, the hurt lingered deep, twisting. Even though I had made my stand, there were moments when my heart ached for what never was. Late at night, I found myself replaying childhood memories, searching for signs, moments where I had been loved in equal measure. I found scraps, fragments, but never full pieces. One particular memory came flooding back. I was 10. It was Leia's birthday, and she had a magician, a bounce house, and a princess carriage cake. My birthday was 3 weeks later. I got store-bought cupcakes and a card with the wrong name scribbled and crossed out. I didn't say anything back then. I thought it was normal that kids like me didn't get more. But now I saw it for what it was, a pattern, not an accident. A quiet way of saying, you matter less. I didn't need to prove my pain to anyone anymore. What I needed was to finally fill the space they had left hollow inside me. So, I started showing up for myself, not just emotionally, but physically. I enrolled in a solo travel group. I went to Lisbon, then Croatia. I took pictures, not for likes, but for memories. Tried painting. Turns out I'm terrible at it, but it felt good to try. I made friends with strangers who didn't ask me who my family was or what they thought of me. They just saw me. And then life handed me something unexpected. One evening, I got a message from a local charity I'd once donated to. They were hosting a community event, a birthday celebration for underprivileged kids who'd never had a proper party. They needed volunteers. I signed up. That day changed something in me. I spent hours inflating balloons, tying ribbons, writing names on cupcakes with icing pens. Each child who walked in had wide, uncertain eyes, not sure if the party was really for them. One little girl, maybe 8 years old, clung to my hand and whispered, "Is this really all for us?" I bent down and said, "Yes, it's for you because you deserve to feel celebrated." She smiled, and in that moment, I felt like I was healing my younger self, the girl who used to blow out candles alone in the kitchen while her sister danced under disco lights. That night, I went home and cried, not out of sadness, but relief. I no longer needed to force a seat at someone else's table. I could build my own. But life wasn't quite done writing this chapter. Months later, I got a letter in the mail, handwritten. The penmanship was my father's. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside, the words were hesitant, uncertain, like a man speaking in a language he'd never learned. "Ava, your letter broke us. Not because of what you said, but because it was true. Your mother and I have spent a long time thinking about how we raised you and Leia. I don't have an excuse, only shame. Muffin's party was Leia's idea. Your mother went along with it. I didn't stop it, and that's on me. I don't know how to fix what we've done. I only know that I miss you. And if you ever want to talk, I'm listening now. No expectations, no pressure, just regret. Dad." I read it once, twice, then again. I didn't cry, I didn't rush to forgive. I just sat with it. The weight of accountability finally handed to me instead of brushed aside. Weeks passed. I never wrote back. Forgiveness doesn't always come in neat, redemptive bows. Sometimes it's a slow, cracked opening in the wall between you and the ones who let you down. But I made a decision. I didn't want to be consumed by bitterness. I didn't want to live the rest of my life defining myself by the pain others caused. So, I started therapy. I opened up about more than just birthdays and parties, but about the years I'd made myself smaller to keep peace in a house where my joy was disposable. Healing didn't come all at once. It came in layers. In learning how to throw myself birthday dinners and inviting friends who brought laughter, not tension. In letting go of the idea that parents always know best. In realizing that I was allowed to create a life where I was the priority. The last twist, 1 year later, on my birthday, I had a dinner party at my home. There were candles, music, a cake I made, and friends who knew my favorite flavor without asking. That afternoon, a small gift came. It didn't have a name, only a card inside. "Happy birthday, Ava." From someone who was trying to learn. I didn't need to see who wrote it. I smiled. I didn't cry because this year, I was not forgotten. And, more important, I finally remembered myself.